Hey, what's up? You are in Shally's alley. This is it. This is the alley right here. Um, we're at the end of the alley, and you're at the beginning of the alley. And so, anyway, here we go. That's pretty exciting day today. Jeremy and I have been friends for, gosh, decades, probably.
Yep.
At least a decade, if not
Yep.
more
At
than
least
a
a
decade.
decade.
At least a decade. And well, let me put it this way: if you drive, drink water, or use a computer, it's because of this man right here. He has spent 18 years recruiting the people who basically built the country. He's worked with companies like CH2M Hill and Stantec and organizations that are the infrastructure of the world: roads, bridges, water systems, data centers. And his claim to fame is he looks in places that other people just don't look. He's been finding engineers, surveyors, and construction talent in fields where there is definitely not a surplus of candidates, and not a whole lot of shortcuts. Worked both in agency and in-house. Now he's working at a company called Benish. Did I say that right? Benish?
Yes,
Benish,
correct.
Benish. So like I said, he's known for his sourcing techniques that other folks don't even think about, pulling names right off of licensing boards, and has written a bunch of articles for ERE, has done presentations at conferences. So welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Shally. The Shallinator, as I call you.
That's right, the Salinator.
Shally.
So you built your reputation getting names off of like rosters, something that I talk a lot about.
Mhm.
Can you kind of walk people through the mechanics of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's just one source, of way of getting things through roster
Yeah,
lists.
but it's a very creative source that a lot of folks just don't
Yeah,
use.
I had taken that from, I think, from an AIRS course many decades ago, learned how to do that. But I think it is a very good way to find people, in a certain category. It'll be transportation, engineering, or transit and rail. But that's just one method to find people. I usually just I'm a networker, and I mentioned that on my LinkedIn page. I'm a total extrovert. Like to meet with people, talk to people, get to know people, and so forth. Attend events. When I was in Maryland, and even here, I'll go to certain events like ASCE events, ACEC events, anything to meet people within the industry, to get to know them. But
And
again,
these are people that are not necessarily, I mean, they're not necessarily on LinkedIn. Sometimes they are, but they're hard hat wearing white collar workers. They go out in the field, they do a lot of inspection, they do a lot of, they're working outside. So they're not like, behind a computer screen on a desk most of the time. And that's why you have to get creative
right.
to get to them. So, wanted to ask you about that, kind of double clicking on that idea there. So AEC firms are calling this time period now a once in a generation infrastructure boom because of whatever infrastructure spending, data centers. There's a lot of these big things.
Absolutely.
Is that legit, or is it basically just business as usual? I mean, infrastructure has not exactly gone away. If you're growing at all, or even if you're not growing, if you're just maintaining, there's always lots of hard infrastructure. So are we really in a boom?
Yeah, I would think for sure. I mean, you look at data center work. I know you mentioned that earlier. Absolutely, companies are building data centers. That's probably driving a lot of the boom. But we will always need bridges. We will always need roads, wastewater treatment plants, and one thing I always do is just keep a tab of what's happening within the industry, as far as those companies, as far as our competitors and so forth. And everybody seems to be having, a record year over year. Even with us at Benish, we're growing. We are
it's not just hype.
growing our company and our revenue and so forth. So I think it is real, especially with that, IAJA bill that went through. I believe that's the way you say it, went through recently. I mean, companies are spending money on projects. and stuff. So I think that's
Right.
definitely
Big
true.
term projects, not just buying,
Right,
you know,
right. And the problem is that
but
if you look at ASCE, which stands for American Society of Civil Engineers
mhm.
report, you you see the reports and the talent, the talent, people are retiring, in this industry at a pretty good pace.
You think
And
faster than
so,
others or
probably, I'm guessing. And
outpacing?
the what they're saying is, at X amount of period, like, 10 years down the road, we're going to have a hard time keeping up, maintaining the level of workers that we have in this field.
Mm,
That's why we try
okay.
to encourage people to go into, the civil engineering, the structural engineering, the mechanical engineering, geotechnical engineering, because I know, the new thing is now kids in college probably want to go do, something in software or maybe computer or, heaven forbid, be a influencer, which I still have no idea what the heck that is. But, they go into different areas other than like the civil structural route.
Right.
So we got to encourage, more emphasis in that within the school system.
It's like construction, nobody like wants to necessarily get into it. It's just something you find. It's not
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
it may not necessarily be a lot of people's dream job, but it's definitely a very respectable and it's definitely a steady gig.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can make good money on it and
Yeah.
move your career. So
My
construction.
son, he's 16 and he's been with a construction crew now a couple of summers, and even during short breaks and stuff like that, he's got friends that will bring him in on a weekend project here and there, and he's learned a lot about how things get done, and it's hard work sometimes outside, when it
Mhm.
gets really hot in Atlanta, but it's he's gonna, when he goes to college, study something more technical in engineering, but I think he gets a lot out of the hands-on experience. He doesn't see it
Yeah.
um, as a dirty work. I keep
Yep.
thinking of Mike Rowe's Dirty Jobs. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of colleges, I think, just looking at the industry as wise, a lot of junior colleges now are offering a lot more in the area of, like construction type of work or
project management,
project
construction
management.
management,
Exactly. We have a great school.
logistics.
Yep. We have a great junior college here, Johnson County Community College, that does all project management for construction. They also have a great rail program for people who want to get into rail.
Oh, rail's coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, there was I don't remember when it was, and I think last time we talked about the steel industry might have been maybe 5 or 6 years ago,
Mhm.
and I remember we were talking about how the steel industry was making a comeback because we had for a while we had like by we I mean the United States had like shipped off the steel production due to costs of the
Mhm.
factories and labor and things like that, but then they started bringing it back because of the cost of transportation. So
Mhm.
it was cheaper to recycle steel and produce steel elsewhere than it was here. So foundries kind of, went downhill. But
Mhm.
then the cost of bringing it back got so expensive that it got cheaper, basically
Mhm.
more efficient to bring it to bring it back home. And so I think that's led to other things as well. I mean, steel, people don't realize it's like steel and plastic. It's in everything. You don't
Mhm.
necessarily think of steel because when you look at a building, you don't see raw steel, but it's whether it's glass or
Mhm.
concrete, there's metal that holds things together,
Right.
frames, and.
Right.
So yeah. Now you've said that networking is absolutely critical in this industry, and it makes sense because like we
Mhm.
just talked about. Um, but one thing that you talk about a lot and you read about is in this kind of industry, effective recruiting, and I think this transfers to all industries. It's important to build your network before there's a job opening, right? Like
Mhm.
when the job is open, that's not when you start networking.
Mhm.
It's very proactive. So you build the network and you maintain the network, and then when the job is open, you can use the network, but you can't use the network that you haven't built.
Right.
So can you give me, like, in the last 30 days, I know that you're in a building role, leadership role, but I'm sure you haven't stopped doing any of the networking you're famous for. So can you give me a concrete, pun intended, example?
Like that concrete, like that zinger. Yeah.
Yeah, from the last month or so, give me a concrete example of like your network paid off.
Just networking paid off. Sure, sure.
Yeah,
So
because you built it, right? So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think just one in general right now would be a role I'm working on in Florida. It's for a very senior level transportation person. But having worked at other companies and built these great relationships with some of these other senior leaders who have moved on from that company I worked for, I'm able to reach out and be like, hi, Carmen, who's now a big has a high position at a county government job, but used to work on the consulting side
Okay.
and lives in Florida. Hey, do you know of anybody that might be interested in this job? Because she will have the connections. Because I'm not in Florida,
Right.
And so that's a good way. And I actually just called somebody in another former company that had a great relationship with. They're in that market, and I can be like, hey, I'm really interested in knowing if you know anybody that has this licensure that I'm looking for, because it really is a purple squirrel to find this one type of licensure.
And you can't be in every state, so you sort of
right. I can't. I'm not in your state, not in your state.
Right.
So
you nurture these relationships in other states that have they're the ones with the network, but they're part of your network. So
right. And I'm it's like one of those where I'm confident enough, and we've built that great relationship over the years to be able to reach out and ask them for help. And one working for the county, that's a different line of work than what we're doing. And then the other company, the other person I reached out to, they do a different type of engineering than we do, but maybe they might know somebody.
But you can still help each other.
Yeah.
And that's actually, there's a few fallacies, I think, that recruiters that haven't done a lot of networking think of and makes them hesitate. And it's kind of the fear of, the reasons not to do it. But one of them is that, correct me if I'm wrong here, this is your subject matter, but one of them is that, these are not necessarily, a network isn't a group of people that you're constantly in touch with.
Right.
You could know someone that you can call that you haven't spoken to in a year or two.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's not that you have you're not warming up your network every day.
No,
it's just you've done the work to build the network, and you do some things. So what I wanted to get to is what are the things that you do to maintain your network? Because people just think of, oh, wow, I don't have time. Nobody's got time to write a newsletter every day or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So what is the reality of what is a long-term network?
I mean, just keeping that ebb and flow going, making sure I'm still relevant and stuff.
Just
just
occasional check-ins, text messages, emails.
I think
you have a personal CRM where you keep all your, Jeremy's secret black book of contacts.
Yeah, right.
Or is that LinkedIn? Yeah, or I mean, like, where logistically, where does all this live?
Yeah, I think that LinkedIn is a good starting point. I go through usually every morning, check who has a birthday, check who's been, has a new job. Usually, how LinkedIn gives you that list of up-to-date things. Mm-hmm. So I'll wish somebody happy birthday that I, might have worked with, a year ago, or they might have got a promotion at the company, and I'll give it a thumbs up or say congratulations. So it's all about those things, those past relationships you've had, and you see what they do. Maybe you comment on a picture they posted or something like that. So it's all the little things like that. Mm-hmm. Again, happy birthdays, congratulations on the promotion.
What other quick message here and there? It's just
here and there,
staying top of mind, basically.
Yeah, and but I've also thought, and I think my whole family and anybody who knows, you could tell this, I have kind of a steel trap memory. So just last week, I had to reach out to the leader of the ASCE in Florida chapter, and I remembered her. I knew who she was, and I reached out to her and I said, hey, tell my name and stuff. And anyways, I just said, here's what I need. Can you, and by the way, how's your son doing? I remember he played baseball. Now, I haven't talked to her probably since we had lunch in West Palm Beach in 2018, but I remembered that. So it's the little things you can remember. She's like, oh yeah, thank you very much for remembering my son plays baseball. Sure, send me what you need. I'll take care of it for you, blah, 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 blah. So it's the little things. It's
right.
It's like
Now, you could cheat, or not cheat in a sense, but like you could keep for example, I use Evernote, which is where I store all of that.
Yep.
And what I'm finding more and more these days is I'm actually using my my chatbots. So Claude, for example, or ChatGPT, which are connected. So, for example, today they just announced, this came out today, there is an MCP connector for Evernote. And so now I can connect my Evernote to my Claude, which means I could go to my Claude and be like, hey, remind me, who do I know in Florida that's at, at the AACP? Or I could say, I'm about to reach out to Jeremy. Remind me, about like, personal information. So you could cheat.
You could,
but you have to have already, you could cheat
Or-
in the note taking, but you already Jeremy needs to know who you are. So when you reach out,
exactly.
So the trick is first is actually build the connections.
Yep.
Now let's go back to this concept of like networking is hard, because I don't really think it is. And I have a pretty big network. I have
181,000, right? Or followers or something like that.
So on LinkedIn, 180,000 or something like that. But those are people that follow me on LinkedIn. I don't necessarily know all of them.
Right.
They may know me and I may not know them. But they might answer my call if I call. I have a list, a database, if you will, of 150,000 contacts. Again, not all of those people are going to remember me, or some of those people might be like, might not like me. How many warm contacts could a person, realistically like nurture? And I'm saying nurturing the way we just talked about, right? Like, doesn't mean that you're reaching out to them every day. But how many people can you have in your sort of magic Rolodex that you could possibly reach out to? Robert Dunbar posited that the Dunbar number, 157 people, but that's active daily connections.
Yeah.
What is a realistic? I know 150,000 people. I'm 180,000 followers.
Right.
If you add those two numbers together, you probably end up somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But there's no way that that's my network. So how many people realistically, 1,000, 10,000?
Yeah. It's good. That's probably a good solid number, I admit. I look at it the same way, Shally. To answer your question, 50, 70, maybe somewhere like that. And I believe in that, because you're right. I mean, even I look at my numbers sometimes, 26,000 followers.
That's a list. That's not a network.
Yeah. Right. And a followers, whatever. But really, I mean, 100, maybe I could reach. I feel, pretty good. I could, reach out any given day. And
you might have them in your phone saved, or
right,
whatever. That right, okay,
right, same thing.
That's actually not a bad way to look at it. If I look at my phone contacts on my iPhone, is about 5,000, and the reason for that is iPhone will inherit, or like if somebody emails you, it'll grab the signature file and add them as a contact. So there are arguably 5,000 people that I have at some point had back and forth emails with. Now, again, that's not my network. That's just how many people I have communicated with.
That's
it's realistically.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I always like chuckle to myself when I see somebody's that really resonates with me when I see somebody's Facebook or Instagram. They have like these thousands of followers. Like, you don't know like more than like 1% of those people. There's no way. People that have like 1,000 followers on LinkedIn, or connections on LinkedIn, or whatever. Not LinkedIn, I'm sorry. Facebook.
I can't believe you just said that. No way. That just reminds me of something. Oh man, I got to tell you about this. So I downloaded. Have you ever done this? I downloaded my LinkedIn data. I export my LinkedIn. Normally, regularly, I do this as a matter of backup. Like I back up my LinkedIn network every year or so. It's a big file. But recently, the last time that I did this, the download had a bunch of extra information in it that wasn't there. I can look at my history going back quite a few years, and some of those are just one Excel file, right? But this recent one, let me tell you how many files it had in it. It had 57 CSV files in it. There's one download, right?
Wow.
And some of these are tiny 2K files, 2 kilobytes. Some of them only have like 100 bytes. And it's like, what we've inferred about you, what courses you've taken, your volunteer, all the sections of your profile. Well, one of the things that I noticed, normally I was downloading my connections, which are the people that are my first degree. That's what I back up because sometimes, well, for whatever, it's just good to have it. I noticed that this time around, I got a file called messages. And I thought to myself, what could messages possibly be? And I opened it up, and just as you would imagine it would be, it is exactly what you think. It is a list of all of the DMs that you have sent and received.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I, out of curiosity, sorted it by date. And I found the very first person that I messaged and the very first person that messaged me on LinkedIn. It was 2004. And I messaged them both. And I said, hey, I just downloaded this. You know, incredibly, did you know, because I didn't know, did you know that you were the first person that I ever DM'd on LinkedIn? Now, remember, back in 2004, if you were on LinkedIn back then, it wasn't really like a messaging platform. It was a networking platform. You were connecting with people. So DMs wasn't really a big part of it. That definitely grew. And if I look at the trajectory of my DMs, you know, I sent a lot more and more over time, not because my network grew, but because it became more popular. But yeah, I downloaded that and I was like, oh my God. And then I thought to myself, this is where the light bulb came on. I'm like, okay, that was fun. So these are the people that I messaged first. But what if I actually ran this through AI and I asked my AI, who are the people that I message most?
Oh,
right?
That's a good one. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
And I was like, this could be useful in a few ways. So I started playing around with the data and trying to figure out what other questions I could ask my own data of message. LinkedIn's not going to tell me this, you know, and which is sad because they should help you analyze your own network, but they don't. So I was like, all right, who messages me the most? And then my next question was, who's messaged me that I've never responded to? Like, who am I ignoring? Right. And then I said,
how much that list is long.
Right. Yes. And then I said, who's ignoring me? And that list is longer.
Somebody knows you.
And the AI says, Shally, you have an incredible network, but nobody replies to your messages.
Then you chat AI, make them shorter.
Yeah. It's like, let me help you with that.
That's hilarious.
You might have a lot of connections, but man, you. So just something that, you know, something to think about. I think AI is oftentimes thought of as, you know, a means to an end, but I think it can also be an interpretation layer for things that you haven't thought about asking about.
Right.
Like I've known about LinkedIn since 2004, but it wasn't until 2026 that it occurred to me to ask LinkedIn how many people or which people I'm most frequently in touch with, right? So anyway, kind of digressed a little bit, but that's part of the whole network. Like,
the
180,000 followers is not a very meaningful number, but the list of people that back and forth with me on LinkedIn, those are my key players.
Yep. And I think also going and kind of been playing into that, I was thinking that, you know, you being the you know, the guru and the godfather of recruiting and so forth, you know, people follow you, right? Like people follow you.
That's
not just in the sense of following.
They're reading my blogs and they're
reading your blogs and like that. But I think also having that established credibility in your industry, whether it be what I do in civil or consulting engineering or IT or whatever, having that credibility, you get people to follow you as well. So I've had people who have worked at former companies that I worked at that saw that I came to this company, Benish.
And they reached out.
You know, quietly, you know, texting me or email me, hey, keep me in mind for something. Something comes
because
up.
you treated them well.
Because I treated them well and they know of me. So that's one way that also.
So that's a passive channel. I mean, they're passively reaching out. It's a passive channel.
Right. You know, so they know that they can rely on me. And people from I got one from my CH Tome Hill days. And I was like, holy cow. I mean, that was like 2013. You know, hey, hear anything, you know, or even, you know, whatever companies. But yeah, that's, you know, people follow you if you're reliable, credible, and
it's definitely a big deal.
Yeah, and compassion, I guess. I heard that line today from our new CEO. You know, you want to be
credible and compassionate.
Be competent, credible, and caring. So I feel like all three of those, you'll be successful.
And I would say, I think clarity also figures into that, which is something that I'm lacking. I think I'm a little all over the place. And I think that also tends to hurt because sometimes folks don't know what to reach out to me for, right?
Yeah.
Like you've lasered into this field. So if anybody is in the, infrastructure, construction, AEC field, they'll eventually run across you, right? But I'm in a lot of different places. So my field, I guess, is really recruiters because as far as my practice in recruiting, it's been, it's been in a lot of different places.
But I've come to you for help too, before in the past, obviously. Shally, I'm having trouble finding this person, and I think
that's what I'm known for.
Yep. Yeah, and then stuff like that. But we, like I said, before the call, you circle yourselves with great people, and I have people that I've reached out to in the past for help, whether it be you or trying to think who else, Dean, or
they're in your Rolodex of
recruiters who could maybe
people who
assist,
answer, right.
But also I have that expanded to my, like I said before the call, my work network, former directors, former leaders. And like I said, I just got off a call about an hour ago with a former director of a company. And I was like, hey, what would you do in this situation? Or like my brother-in-law, talk to him a lot or sometimes and be like, hey, what would you do in this situation? How would you handle this? So surround, what industry you're, surround yourself with great people.
Yeah, surround yourself with good people that, lift them up, they'll lift you up. And that's where that's really what the networking is about. Sometimes finding an opportunity for somebody in your network and proactively, messaging them like, hey, I just met so-and-so and they're in the same, industry. I should connect the two of you. Like that's part of networking. It's not just, networking isn't just what can you do for me? And when I need something, I call you. Like that's not really networking. That's using, networking is, is it, what can I help you with? And sometimes just not even asking, just something you think of like, oh, I know somebody that you should talk to. I do that a lot. And I just randomly will make introductions. Like, you know what, you what you're talking about strikes me like something that I've had a conversation with Jeremy. Let me introduce you. So
definitely done that.
Yeah. And I think that whole, like, it's about who you know.
Yep. Oh, for sure. 1,000%. I was my nephew just graduated college last year, or in May. And I said, Charlie, just remember one thing. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Do you think that's changing a little bit? Do you think that what's changing now is it's not just who you know, but also who knows you? In other words, like,
well, that could be true.
It's who's going to pick up, because nobody answers calls anymore from strangers. But like, there's people that if they call me, I will answer, even if it's in the middle of a meeting, just to say, hey, oh my God, I haven't heard from you in a while. Is everything okay? I'm in a meeting. Let me call you back. So there are people who, if they call me, and they haven't called me in years, I will take their call. And I'd like to think that there's people who would answer when I call.
Yeah.
So there's the other side of that. Like, I might have a Rolodex of everybody that I know, but how many of those people would actually return my call?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
For example, Barack Obama is on my LinkedIn. Yeah. We are first degree connections. And this is a funny story.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found in my LinkedIn messages that I did is a back and forth message between Barack Obama and I. And it was one of those things I was like, what? No, this is a joke, right? And then I went to my LinkedIn, and sure enough, first degree connections. And you look at that, you've been connected since, right? And I was connected with Barack Obama before he was president of the United States.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when he became president of the United States, he didn't drop the connection. He must have had somebody, managing his LinkedIn or whatever. So then I was like, well, who else? And of course, Bill Gates and Donald Trump,
Musk,
and and I'm connected to these people, and I've been connected with them for years. But I guarantee you, if I called Barack Obama, he's not answering my call.
Yeah, right. It's Shally. Don't you know?
Exactly. So there's who you know, like that, and then there's who knows you. I want to talk a little bit about the lemon law.
Lemon law.
Yeah, I think you wrote about employers need a lemon law for honesty in marketing. Does that sound familiar?
No. Share with me. Lemon law.
Yeah. So
Proceed. Let me understand what this is, because I don't know lemon law. I don't know
What's
what
the part that what's the part that people won't like hearing about with recruiters moving so quickly right now? So, in other words, you've built this reputation, and we're espousing the benefits of it. But there are people who are moving really fast and burning bridges and
of
not
course.
doing it. So
Sure.
what? And right now, that's happening. I feel like it's accelerating. The pace of that is happening faster to the point where I feel like there's a lot of spamming, a lot more than ever before, and spamming in every form.
Yeah.
Uh, Recruiters just basically haphazardly sending out messages to
I get it.
everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think is going to be the kind of the, I don't know, the backlash of this sort of
Yeah. When
too
somebody
fast?
calls you up and says, "Hey, I got a hot lead for you. This is a great opportunity. It matches your skill set." That type of like sales pitch to somebody.
Yeah, it's I think it's moving kind of
Yeah.
quickly,
Yeah.
and it's what I hear this a lot. I hear, oh, it's easy to find people. You can find anybody. Sourcing's gonna die. Sourcing's gonna die. I'm like, here's the thing. Yes, you can find anybody, but actually, that's a problem. It
Mhm.
used to be people were hard to find, and if you
Mhm.
found someone, that was a good lead.
Mhm.
Now, you're right, you can find almost anybody,
Mhm.
but the problem is that you can also find everybody,
Mhm. Yeah, true.
and you're buried in a sea of. So what I see is, and I'll just be blunt because I'm sort of beating around a little bit here. AI tools that are, will automate your recruiting. And I'm not going to drop any names, but they basically just scrape a bunch of profiles and they just start messaging them.
Yeah. One big giant email. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like these automated messages. We personalize, and we guarantee you results. But what's happening is candidates, people that are
Mhm.
potential job seekers, are getting bombarded with these very. They're really not.
Yeah.
It's not really networking
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. I get
So
it.
is that impacting you? In other words, is everybody else's like bad networking making it harder for you? Are we hurting
Me
ourselves?
personally, or just in general? You're talking like
Just are
the
the
list.
good ones being hurt by the junk?
Possibly. I think possibly
You
good
haven't
good
noticed it
good
yet?
observation of that. That's one of the good things about having been in my business so long and doing what I've done for so long, going back to the credibility part, participating in different organizations
Mhm,
throughout the AEC world. If somebody's connect with me or talk to me, they know I know the business, or at least the
mhm.
field a little bit more than some others, perhaps.
Okay.
It's ironic because that just what you're talking about is what I've been talking to some former directors and senior VPs
Okay,
about.
so I hit on
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Okay.
you actually, yeah, right there. Because I think you're right. And I've talked to former senior leaders at other engineering firms, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, these recruiters will not leave me alone." And so you're like, "Oh, okay." And so, you know, my approach has always been, obviously, the LinkedIn message first.
Mhm.
There's no other way around it. But then, just you find their personal email and you call, etc. It's usually kind of like my method. It's nothing new. Everyone should be probably.
Right, but you would think that's nothing new, but what is new is that there are these, systems out there that are basically
Yes.
automating that, and they're automating and they're getting they it looks like they're getting results,
Yeah.
but what I've seen is that they get results initially because of the volume,
Yes.
and then they start getting less and less results,
Yes.
and after a while, you've just burnt your network.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And that's something I was talking to these folks this week, about. And they, what's the point I was going with? They're like, yeah, a lot of people just aren't picking up the phone, and you may call their cell phone, but they're not just picking up. And that's the way I am too. I see numbers, I have it set up where if I don't know your number, it's going right to voicemail. You know, Now, so a recruiter may say, well, that could be a candidate calling you. Well, I
They
could
can
probably
leave a
see what
voicemail.
is come back, but they'll leave a message.
Well, yeah,
Um,
that's exactly right. If it's a spammer, they
so
leave a
that's
voicemail.
where we're getting this. So that was like the sign, like the question I was having today with other people. Like, okay, these suppose these people, you're calling them a cell phone, they're not picking up. Then what's your next step? So they were like, try this, and this. So I got a few other ideas, but that's exactly kind of what I was picking up on. I'm like, okay, if no one's getting back to you on a LinkedIn message, I know some people say,
Because of the noise. Yeah,
Yeah, because of all the noise. And, they're like,
that's
well, and
exactly.
I don't do the mass, I don't send one mass thing to like 20 different people.
But
Try to
see,
tailor.
that's the thing, Jeremy, is it doesn't matter if you're the
Right.
good guy and
Hmm.
you're only sending one message at a
Hmm.
time and personalizing it, and you really know
Right.
that person,
Because they're,
because everybody else isn't doing that. And so
uh-huh.
you're still landing in the
Hmm.
same inbox that's
Hmm.
surrounded by yours. Might be the one message they got that day that's genuine, but then the
Hmm.
other 300
Hmm.
aren't. And so you just got swept out you got
Yeah.
thrown out with the trash. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is happening to you, but it happens. It happens to us here. Um, we get such a large volume of mail.
Hmm.
Our post box, or like our mailbox, is stuffed every day, and 90% of it is just going right in the garbage.
Hmm.
I mean, there used to be a time when we would unsubscribe or whatever, but it's just they're just mailing everything. And like, I'm afraid one of these days I'm going to throw out a credit card or
Yeah, right.
or a tax
A
record.
lottery win prize. Shally, congratulations. You've
Yeah,
won
right. You really did
$2
win this time. Not the
Yeah, right.
so I am. It's kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
And I want to. I know this is going to sound weird, but that's what happened to the fax, right?
Remember the
The
fax?
fact,
That was
yeah,
a
the
dinosaur.
fax machine became, at first it was a great way to communicate with people, where you can send more information over the phone line that you could verbally in a shorter period of time. You could fax a whole document, you could sign it and
Mhm.
fax it back, right? But then it got bombarded with spam, and so people unplugged their faxes because
Yeah.
because it was just ringing all day, and it was just
Yeah.
junk, junk, junk.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people are going to unplug their email,
Yeah.
but what if that's where we're headed? What if they're going to unplug their LinkedIn? What if they already did? What if
Yeah.
their
Right.
LinkedIn isn't even being forwarded to their email
Isn't
because it's
and
the
isn't
fax
that,
machine?
remember that question like years ago? I think maybe even you once mentioned it in maybe an article. It's like, what would recruiters do if there was no LinkedIn?
Well, I
How
think
would they?
what's happening is there's LinkedIn, but
Mhm.
there's no email because it's the fax machine, right?
Mhm.
So the candidate is getting so much of this AI generated garbage that the
Mhm.
one legitimate message is no longer, the
Being read.
signal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you unplug the fax because 90% of the faxes were wasting paper and ink,
Mhm.
right? And that's what
Mhm.
happened. That's what killed
Mhm.
the fax. Was it was a useful tool, but it wasn't until the internet, the fax over internet, that brought it back. Now faxes are
Mhm.
back. You can
Mhm.
send secure documents via e-fax, which is
Yep.
basically an email,
Yeah.
right?
E-fax. Yeah.
But it sounds
Yeah.
ridiculous, but my doctors won't take anything that isn't e-fax. They won't take
Yeah.
an email because of HIPAA.
Uh-huh.
So the
Interesting.
fax is coming back because now it's so, in between the fax getting unplugged and the fax getting plugged back in, there was that time. And I think what we're seeing, we're in the middle of people like you and I who do the real networking are facing a lot of unplugged fax machines
Mhm.
vis-a-vis LinkedIn DMs that are not getting they're getting delivered, but they're getting delivered to an inbox that isn't being monitored because people don't forward their messages
Mhm.
to their email. And I'm not going to ask you the question, but I probably should. Do you have your emails forwarded to your inbox?
Yes, on
Okay.
my Yahoo. Yeah, so I got yours. I got your
You do.
call. A
You do.
message.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I actually changed my email address for that reason, and it goes into a Gmail inbox.
Okay.
And well, believe it or not, this is what I do. I have my AI robot read it.
Oh wow.
So
Scan it.
because AI is not allowed to connect to LinkedIn, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's nowhere for my ChatGPT to connect into LinkedIn to read my messages because
Mhm.
they won't allow that. I solved the problem by sending my DMs via LinkedIn through email to an email account that's dedicated, and my AI can log into that.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
just say, hey, check my LinkedIn messages. It
Mhm.
knows not to go to LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
When I say check my LinkedIn messages, what it does is it goes to my Gmail and reads my Gmail, which it can't,
Yeah.
and so that's what I've done because it's just I'm using AI to filter it. I
Yeah.
tried filtering in other ways, but
Yeah.
uh, take a guess. How many LinkedIn messages do you think I get per day?
10 million.
No, per day. Per
No.
day.
275.
It's over 700
Dang, a day.
a day.
Wow. I think maybe like 10.
But most, I mean, it's over 700, but probably 10 are valuable.
Yeah. That's
the other, 690 are.
Exactly. And that maybe draws me again back to the point of, I think for recruiting wise,
It's
get out there, get out there. So again, going back to rephrasing the whole going to ASC events, WTS events. Now I didn't just do that in Maryland where I was living at the time. I went to events in Virginia. I went to events in Philadelphia.
Okay.
I belonged to the Boston Society event. So, and I would fly down to holiday events at the Engineering Society in Florida, go down there. But I was, obviously I was never recruiting, but I was just talking and meeting people and networking and some, kind of thing. So I guess to sum it up is like recruiters should be able to not just sit behind the desk all day. That's great. You're doing
out there and
get out there. Go mingle with your people, and go to events, go to societies, go to Christmas parties, whatever. But just get out there. Don't sit behind the desk, 8 to 5.
Right. And then you're like a temporary tourist. When you get that wreck, then you're like, oh, I'm gonna go participate in this event for one time.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work.
Exactly.
You got to be an active. Yeah. I mean, active, not frequently active, but you have to get out there and participate.
Mm-hmm. Just like people do in recruiting. People go to the ERE events and
there's a lot of them. There's TA and HR and SHRM and there's a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that business of, I wanted to ask you about the licensure. A lot of the work that you do, a lot of these people have restrictive requirements on state licensures, and there's like you're an official. I don't know how to say it. I'm not in the business that well, but like a professional engineer.
With license.
Yeah, they have a license and they're like registered by the state, and so there's a lot of this like credibility stuff that doesn't exist in other fields.
Mm-hmm.
You can call yourself whatever you want. Your job title could be whatever you want, but if you're if you have a PE license, that definitely puts you in this category.
Right. Put the stamp on the project. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Right. And then there's other industries where that doesn't happen. How does that change recruiting? The fact that you have that extra, like in healthcare, you need to have if you're, for example, recruiting nurses, they need to be a registered nurse. Mm-hmm. So in healthcare recruiting, they know that, but there's not a lot of white collar recruiting that involves having a, official like stamp license. How does that change what you do?
Oh, yes. I mean, you just look for those who have a PE license. You can go through, usually states have a website that shows you what kind of license they are. PE is the big one. They can also be an SE, structural engineering.
Do you look them up before or after? It's like, do you go there, look up the people, and then call them? Or
they'll usually put it on LinkedIn. Sometimes they don't, but then you can validate it through things. But I've been utilizing more and more. You can do AI, obviously, and so you put the person, Shally Sterkler at at whatever company. Do they have a PE license? And it'll do the whole, gauntlet of searching through the web. So that's one way you can do it as well.
So that's helping. It's helping you. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so it'll validate
part of your workflow that is still
right. And you can put in, okay, great. He does have a PE license. Can you tell me what specific projects they've been working on? Because then it saves you the time from sometimes hunting and doing the old school search, which you can still do. But then it will say, okay, Shally worked on the I-5 project as well as the SR10 project. You're like, this is perfect. Send it over, copy, send it over to the
right.
And this is
that's a huge part. So I was actually teaching class at TSI University yesterday, and this came up where people are like, well, how do I personalize my messages to get better responses? And I'm like, you know what? Honestly, you can be an expert at personalization and write the most beautiful prose and have the most compelling subject lines and get really bad results because of your targeting. So you could have great personalization and messages and bad targeting and not do very well. Conversely, the opposite of that isn't true. you could have really good targeting and bad messaging, and you'll still get some results. You're not going to get the best results, but if your targeting is tight, so you were just talking about, they're a PE, great. So that's the licensure, but have they worked on roads,
Right.
or I don't know,
Maybe
power
some bridges.
grids?
Yeah.
Right. So
Airplanes.
if you're messaging someone who's a power grid PE about a
Mhm.
road project,
Right.
they're going to be like,
Yeah. Right. Yep.
So there's a degree of like, if it's a road project and you contact road people,
Yep.
even if you're not personalizing it, you're going to get better responses because that's their target.
Right.
It's
Right.
like if you messaged me and said, "Hey, Shally, you have a great job as a data scientist," I'd be like, "Huh?"
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. And a good point of that is usually in our field, there's some like environmental roles that you might have to do a little bit more. If you were just starting in environmental engineering, you have to know more of concepts and information. But a real easy example of what you're talking about is maybe structural engineers. There are usually only two types really. There's horizontal, and then there's vertical. So you got building structural engineers,
buildings and roads,
and you have highways. So two
Got
different
it.
types of structural engineers.
Right. And then
Let me
and the
cheer,
one
reaching
doesn't
after
do
the
the
right
other,
one.
or they can, but they don't. I mean, it's like
Right.
right. Oh, that makes sense.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So that's a good
It's
example.
like a driver is not a pilot necessarily, and a pilot's not a. They both operate a vehicle,
Yeah.
but one goes this way and the other one goes whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yep. Yeah. So that's really, for most people, again, will put PE license. Again, you do the Boolean on LinkedIn. You put in, PE in quotes, P.E in quotes, or professional engineer. And I'm starting to put in more like licensed professional engineer. Maybe that comes up in some searches, but it all varies. We all know Boolean, man. I've done the Boolean for years.
So yeah. So let's talk about that for a minute. What's the best sourcing hack that you've never published?
Oh my gosh.
Folks, you'll hear it here for the first time.
Yeah, right.
Exclusive. Breaking news. Never published before.
Gosh, I'm pretty old school, Shal. I mean,
but you just told me the PE in quotes, right? So give me like.
Yeah. I'm doing a lot more of the past couple of years. I've done a lot more of the, I don't know what the terminology in recruiting is, but when you take your name, so Shally Strickler, and you put the name, they put the company in quotes, next to it. So it's like Shally Strickler and XYZ company.
Yep.
That way you can find more information about him. You can find what usually maybe their direct phone number, the direct email, projects they've worked on. That's my go-to right now as far as Boolean.
So it'd be like, Peter Smith. Well, that's probably too high. Peter O'Sullivan and
Benish.
Whatever happened at CH2M Hill? What did they become? They changed names.
Oh, what, Jacobs?
CH2M Hill is now Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Oh, yeah. So like Peter O'Sullivan, Jacobs Engineering, and then like you get those, and that'll bring up other stuff. Yeah. Have you ever done this? Have you ever put the names of 3 people in the space and see where they come up together? So like let's say all 3 of them are I don't know, structural engineers, and you search for all 3. So like Peter O'Sullivan, Jeremy Bonewitz, and Shally Steckrell, and all 3 of them are PE engineers, professional engineers. And you search for that. Have you ever tried that?
Never tried it with more than one name.
Yeah, so if you do 2 or 3, I usually do 3. You'll get very few results, but the results you get will be like a conference list.
Yeah, right. And are you putting are you saying they work with the same company or they work with different companies?
Doesn't matter. Just 3 people in the field. Right. Yeah, three people that are in the same space.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And if they appear together, whatever that is, whatever that is about that field.
Interesting. Yeah.
So you can do it with 3 recruiters, and you'd get SHRM or ERE. You do it with 3 structural engineers, and you'll get a state licensure database or something like that.
We'll check that out. I was telling folks, even when I started here, and let me look if I can find this real quick. I have kept a Word document of searches that I've had since I think my CH2, since my CH2ML days. Let me see if I can find the number. It is. These are all variety of searches, all across engineering AEC space. It is. My last page is. Where's the page number? Come on. It is. Where's the page? How does it tell? Oh, page 106 pages long
of searches.
of searches, with strings, Boolean strings, all sorts of things you can imagine. But
Have
it's
you ever fed
100.
that to your AI and we're like, hey, this is my brain for sourcing.
Yeah.
Learn how I source, and then like do my job for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah,
good
right.
brain to have. Like, here's
Yeah.
all my
So it's a
history.
long.
Well,
I go
but you
back.
know, what you're not telling the AI is which ones of those had good results. You know, so
Yeah. Well, I highlight them. I usually highlight them and say, okay, this one's
okay.
good. This one's bad. So
Do this
I
one
do a
again.
good
Never
thing.
do this one again.
Yeah, exactly. So I keep that, but I have like, okay, this is what I did when
NSFW.
This is what I looked at. This is what I used for maybe a transportation or a transit and rail person. This is what I used for a geotechnical person. This is what I used for
Oh
XYZ
man,
environmental.
that's
So
money right there. That's
yeah, it's
experience.
I always, when I move from company to company, I always keep that with me, and I have it
It's your
downloaded
brain.
in
Yeah,
my
you just
computer as well.
yeah. That's what I use Evernote for. Literally,
Gold, Charlie, it's gold. I tell you,
gold. I'm telling you, it's gold. You can mine your own gold.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly true, exactly true.
Sweet. So that's why I was so excited about the MCP coming out, because Evernote. I've been using Evernote since forever.
Evernote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like OneNote or what's it, Notion or whatever.
It's interesting you mentioned all these things, because I put out something on Facebook not too long ago, and I said, "What are any new tools anybody's using?" And I didn't see any responses really. I think some people said AI, and I know that people are talking more
It's
and
like,
more
what are
about.
any tools? The
Yeah,
internet.
yeah, right,
That's a good. Yeah,
exactly. But
yeah.
remember the days of like, oh my gosh, what was it like? I mean, of course, there's like, what do you know? Remember, like, do you remember tools back in the day? I'm trying to think of that
Oh my
one.
God, yeah, so many. I have a giant list. You never know. I have a giant list.
Oh
You
gosh,
know,
there were so many that have gone and come. Like, well, Seacat was one I remember. Fish something. What was that one?
all the fish.
Yeah, no. Oh man, but all these have gone away. All these tools that I used to use, I actually use two. I will admit, I use, besides LinkedIn, I'm a two per. I use two regularly, and stuff. But I mean, all these have got. What was that one called?
Well, for you, I mean, your database is the licensure databases. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but it's
It's definitely
interesting.
changing really fast, but it's also consolidating, and it's also I see a lot of like, I want to do everything for everybody. So these big tools that used to be one play, they used to just do like that. They were just a sourcing platform. Now they're like, oh, we're a sourcing platform and a marketing platform, and we're a CRM, and now we have an ATS,
Yeah,
and we can order your lunch. It's like,
yeah, that's so true.
okay, what?
Uh-huh.
Well, I kind of liked your sourcing tool, but now that you're 27 other things and you raise your price, I can't afford you anymore. So
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I just was interested to find out like what you thought of, any new tools or anything like that, because I really honestly haven't heard of anything.
I actually, yes. So let me tell you the one that I'm using a lot right now. It's called Super Carl.
Super Carl?
Super Carl. Yep.
Hmm.
Since you asked, actually, let me show you here. I think I can do this. Yeah. So check this out. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, small. But, yeah.
It's small. Okay. I don't know how to.
Now, is this a free tool, Shally? We like
Yeah, it is. So there's free. It's free to sign in, free to use, but they have AI, and if you use the AI, it requires credits. So
Okay,
um,
typical.
yeah, so there, but it's useful without the credits as well. So you go in here and you can basically just start like a project, for example, and you can do I'm looking for a job, right? So do like, I'm looking for my next sourcing role. I'm going to do talent sourcing just in case. And that's it. And I just start project, right? And what this does, what's really impressive about this is they have over 1 billion connections, and they're built by them. So they did not scrape LinkedIn. This is not a LinkedIn database. This is they acquired it and built it and purchased it, and it's their own proprietary data. So they do connect to my LinkedIn to go look at my profile, but then they use that data and then they look at my Gmail and who I've messaged, and they find warm intro paths. So that thing about networking that you kind of lose with AI is you can find lots of people, but you don't necessarily know if they're going to respond to the email. You don't even know if that's their real email. You don't know if it, like I have an email, I have Instagram, I have Twitter, I have Facebook, I have LinkedIn. So you can call me, text me, right? But which one of those 8 different ways am I more likely to reply to, right? And then my preference might be different than yours. So what this does is it looks for that signal. Not only is it able to find the people, but also who you've messaged. This is what I was talking about with the LinkedIn when I downloaded my messages. This is what got me thinking about it.
Wow.
Because I was like, I wonder how they're doing that. And then I thought, well, let me export my LinkedIn data. And then I saw the messages. I'm like, I wonder if that's how they're doing it. Turns out, no, that's not how they're doing it because they can't download my LinkedIn data. But they are looking for other signals like email, for example. Now, look how quick that was. It comes back and it finds all of these jobs, right? Active posting. And then it says who I can connect with. So it's not just the job, it's also the contacts and the warmest path. So who's in my network that I can reach out to and say, hey, can you introduce me to this senior talent sourcer job? But it's not just for sourcing jobs. You can do other kinds of, you can find, investors, you can find, people are using it for reference checking. They're using it to find buyers, buying signals.
Interesting.
And so what it is, basically, it's networking and warm path intros using other people's data that they put together into a proprietary system. So you can connect your Gmail and it'll help you connect through people through your Gmail because it's finding what we just talked about. How many people have you messaged? Which ones have you messaged with most recently, most frequently, stuff like that. This is the one that I've been kind of addicted to.
Cool.
And it is free, supercarl.ai.
Supercarl.ai.
What I just did is free. What isn't free is if you want to create a campaign that automates and you're using AI, but you don't need to do that. You can just go back to that search and click on stuff. So,
right. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for sharing. I wrote that down.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're on there, connect with me, find me, and you can take advantage of my 147,000 people that don't know me and will never respond to my messages.
Shally, I hate that bastard. What?
Right, exactly. No. Now, if you hadn't mentioned his name, I would have helped you. But since you brought that up, please get out of my.
Yeah, right. Block, spam.
Flag, yeah, right. You're like, damn.
Restrict. Okay.
Cool. Well, thanks for the thanks for the time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Shally. Appreciate it as always, man. And
I'm going to say keep in touch, but you know what? I know you will.
Yeah. I'll see your emails and I'll be like, that guy.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of him.
I finally had to replace the jar you sent me, by the way. It lasted 5 years?
Yeah. Oh, really? Well,
yeah. I still have it, but this one's, bigger and carries more water. But I use that daily for a good 5 years at least.
Nice.
So
cool.
Thank you. All right, man. Well, big hug, big high five.
All right, man.
Folks, we will see you next Friday here on Shally's Alley. Thank you, Jeremy, for being a great guest.
Thanks, Shally.